Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we are about to get underway for the 11th race of the IESC GT3 season here on Forza Motorsport 8. Things continue to twist and turn in very odd and unexpected ways. First up, if you look at the list, NDL Dindu, who is off a string of 3 straight top 2 finishes, is not partaking in today's race. So Dindu missing his second race of the season. This basically would take him out of the championship fight, except maybe not, because Mead, AMS Mead, who is your championship points leader, sustained an injury over this past week. Now, it's not slowing him down too much in lap times. He has qualified second, but we don't know how well his thumb is going to hold up over the course of the race. So it's really up in the air on if Mead can even bring home another top 2, top 3 finish. There is a strong possibility that if the damage to his hand is bad enough, Mead may have to withdraw in the middle of the race. On the same note, this is going to be the first pole position of the season for PTG Jay Caesar. Now, Jay Caesar, of all of the drivers who have attempted to start at least half of the races thus far this season, Jay Caesar is only 5th best at qualifying. You know, NDL Dindu is better than him at qualifying. Mead is better than him in qualifying. Valkyrie, who is now known as F1 Artonic, has done better than him in qualifying. So many other drivers are better than Jay Caesar at qualifying. Jay Caesar, though, finally with a pole position start, this could be his best shot at winning the race. Normally he starts behind, has to make up ground early on. Starting on the front row alongside somebody who's got an injured hand, this may be Jay Caesar's best shot to take home his first victory this season. So really interested to see how that's going to turn out. We're looking at a 13-car field for today's race here at Road America. Another interesting thing to consider, if you haven't noticed already, is that it is nighttime. This Road America event is going to be another race that starts at night and goes into the daylight. We saw the same thing at Kailami. I didn't get a broadcast the Kailami race, but if you check my YouTube channel, you can see the stream that was put up for that there. Same thing happened at Daytona. Daytona was a race that started at night and went into the day. I believe the actual time start, in-game starting time for this is 4 in the morning. So about halfway or a little bit before halfway, we should start seeing daylight fall into the circuit. And by the time it's the end of this race, track should be completely covered in daylight. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to affect cars handling, because we saw at Daytona when Valkyrie, again now known as F1 Electronic, when Valkyrie was there, he was fine the daytime, but then as the track heated up and the nighttime went away, he started struggling with control of the car. I'm really interested to see if that will be the case today as well. Another interesting thing to note is PTG Little Caesar. We thought several weeks back after the Spa race that he was not going to join us again, but that is not the case. He is running with us once more. Now, before we get too deep into this, let's go ahead and look at the championship points as they run. There's still a tie for 37th between AMS Custom Dips, India Wipin, and Smidini with 100 points each. However, Custom Dips is starting today's race, so he will break that points tie after the day is over. 36 is Tire Bear with 130 points. 35th is Exocero with 155 points. 34th is Grand Wolf, of course, because you guys always fuck up the initial start at setting up the lobby. I don't know why I would expect anything better of you guys. You always fuck up the first attempt. Anyways, 35th in points is Exocero with 155 points. 34th is Grand Wolf 1221 with 180. 33rd is SVR Carrera with 185 points. 32nd is SVR Karki with 190 points. 31st is BDF 48 Gaming with 200 points. 30th is Redline FM with 205 points. 29th is Dietz Speeman with 225 points. 28th is NDL Avocado with 225 points as well. Reminder, Avocado threw away all of his prior results when he swapped over to run the Lexus at last week's race at Sunset Peninsula's Roval and easily dominated that race. So yeah, NDL Avocado 225 points. But realistically, if you added his 2 starts at McLaren with his Lexus, he'd be a little bit higher up the order. 27th is Raygun versus Zombie with 240 points. 26th is RV and Chaos Fox with 265 points. 25th is HYR Mall with 275 points. 24th is AMS Virage with 310 points. 23rd is HYR Vaco with 345 points. 22nd is Tactical Fallout with 355 points. 21st is SDR Dremora with 435 points. 20th is FM Esports with 445 points. 19th is Diana Prime 77 with 455 points. 18th is Cam Worthy with 490 points. That's a bit of a jump to 17th. TFP Matter has 545 points. Another big jump to 16th as RZX U5 AMVP. He has 775 points. 15th is AMS Beast with 785 points. Another pretty significant jump to 14th, which is AMS Mercs with 905 points. 13th is NFL Racer 4812. He has 910 points. If all things go well, he should break into the 1,000 point mark at the end of today's race. 12th is AMS Rambo with 1,180 points. 11th is AMS Indoctro with 1,200 points exactly. 10th is AMS Andrew 14 with 1,285 points. 9th is PTG Little Caesar with 1,405 points. He'll likely jump 8th place F1R Tonic, also known as RZ and Valkyrie, who still has a 1,495 point total he has thus far this season. 7th is PM221 with 1,540 points. 6th is Prius Killer 8110 with 1,630 points. 5th is Ludicrous Speed with 1,765 points. 4th is SRD Shredder with 1,790 points. Shredder and Ludicrous seem to be in a really tight fight for 4th in points. They might end up catching 3rd at the end of this race, depending on how things go. 3rd is Indiel Dindu with 1,860 points. We know he's not going to be starting in this event today. 2nd is PTGJ Caesar, who's your pole setter. He has 1,955 points. And your current championship points leader is AMS Mead 212 with 2,060 points at this stage of the event. So credit to Mead, though. We've completed 10 races, and Mead averages a little bit more than 200 points in every single race he starts. PTGJ Caesar averages about 19.5 points. 195 points roughly for every race that he starts. Well, seems like they've crashed my Forza. Please hold. Alright, well, need to try and hope that I can get back into this lobby here. I swear if this keeps up, I won't start these broadcasts until after I see the field starting to line up. Alright, well, it looks like we still have everyone here for the moment, at least. All right, guys, let's go. Come on. Regrettably, I don't really have anything else I can mention at this point. There are a few kind of interesting things to talk about. NFL Racer is trying desperately to crack the top 10 in points. The good news for him is that several drivers ahead of him in points aren't likely to make a whole lot more starts. The bad news is their race is running out, so NFL's Racers attempted trying to crack the top 10 in points. Looks like it's going to be very hard. He needs to start bringing home some good finishes, and it's a requirement that he basically shows up to the remaining races of the season. Dremora is likely going to eclipse Dino Prime 77 in points after this race is over. Dino says that he's only going to try and make one more start this season, I believe. So Dremora will have an advantage over Dino, but we know Dino's a good chunk faster than Dremora, so I'm interested to see how that will turn out, but we likely won't see that until we get to the season finale at Nürburgring. That will be in January, so that's still a little ways off. Gonna try again. Here we go. All right, take 3. All right, hopefully they'll start lining up the grid now. Apparently AMS Rambo is in the pit lane. I don't know what's going on there to cause that. But it does look like we're beginning to line up the grid. Okay, so PTG J. Caesar, we know that he is going to be your pole sitter in today's race. AMS Mead 212 is going to be starting second. But positions behind that get a little bit wonky. We don't really know how the rest of the grid's going to order up thus far. So I'm not going to be able to give you this information. Also, Little Caesar, PPG Little Caesar, has also gone to the pit lane at the start of this event. So I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe that might relegate them to starting at the back of the grid. I'll get back to you on that. But 2 drivers have already made a stop before we've even taken the green flag, so I'm not sure what's going on there. And that Little Caesar still in the pits. Yes, it is. So again, Little Caesar making an extra start this season. We did not anticipate that he would make another start. We thought Spa was going to be his last start of the season. However, his commitments freed up and he got a chance to go ahead and run in today's event. He is still starting behind his father, Jay Caesar. Of course, his father has the pole, but still could be a good chance for the Caesar duo to take home another father-son 2 of the 3 steps on the podium here. So anyways, as we go ahead and look at the grid ordering real quickly, PTG J. Caesar is your pole sitter for today's race. He is going to be followed by AMS Speed in the Lexus. Behind them is SRG Shredder. So Shredder is starting his Mercedes in third. No, okay, they're giving Little Caesar back his position. Okay, so PTG Little Caesar is going to start third right behind his father. SRD Shredder is going to start in fourth position. Prius Killer 8110, he is going to start in fifth. He has been a silent but strong competitor throughout the season. Sixth is Ludicrous Speed, the highest of the Chevys today. Seventh is going to be AMS Rambo, representing Lexus again. Rambo's coming off of his first top 5 finish. That came last week after a botched BOP meant that he had a way overpowered car. BM221 continues to be the lone Acura representative or Honda representative in the field. Ninth is going to be AMS Indoctro, one of the 2 Dodges in the field. Behind him is going to be AMS Andrew in the Aston Martin. 11th is going to be NFL Racer 4812. He is in the 2nd Dodge, and I was wrong. Custom Dips is also representing a Dodge. So we have 3 different Dodges in the field. And then we have SDR Dremore. He is the 2nd Chevrolet in the field. More than likely a lock to finish a lap down, but weirder things have happened before here. So, 36 laps here at Road America. A lap is going to be a little bit more than 2 minutes, so we're going to probably be here for about 70 minutes. So I hope everyone's got their drinks and their snacks or whatever, because we could be looking at a very interesting race. The most interesting fact about this grid, no one in this field has won a race this season except for AMS Mead, and Mead is trying to recover from an injury. So there is a high likelihood we could see a first-time winner today, and our 5th different winner this season. On top of that, Ludicrous Speed is fighting for what could be his first podium, since all the way back in 2022, SRD Shredder would be fighting for his first GT win in an IESC, since all the way back in the very first IESC GT season back in 2018. So those are 2 other stories to keep in mind. Anyways, the field is going to start getting doubled up and lined up here very shortly as they're coming down into the final corner. BTG J. Caesar, first, I believe it's his first full pole position of the year. He has been one of the worst qualifiers and has had to come up through the field in most of his races. Now he's starting at the front, and the driver alongside of him is someone who has an injury. This could be J. Caesar's best chance. Will Mead go out there and win with an injured hand? We'll find out the answers in about 90 minutes as they come under the bridge to the start-finish line. They are doubled up all the way through the field. J. Caesar and Mead, a BMW and Lexus, will bring the field to the green flag for the IESC GT race at Road America. There's going to be a drag race down the straight. Immediately you can see a car that looks like the Lexus of Rambo pulling to the extreme inside, but the field is all doubled up in the first 3 rows right now, and it looks like they're still dead even side by side out of the corner. A bit of a push from behind by Little Caesar. Mead is still on the outside. J. Caesar on the inside. He gets another push mid-corner from his son. J. Caesar still has not completed the overtake. Now Little Caesar is going to try and make it 3 wide. J. Caesar is going to be in the middle of a 3-wide fight on the run down the back straightaway. Lexus inside. BMW is going to pull out, so it's just BMW outside, Lexus inside, heavy into the braking zone. And Mead is going to take it. Mead had a worse starting position on the outside and held it together. He holds the top spot, and now J. Caesar might lose a position to his son, Little Caesar. SRD Shredder has stabilized in 4th right now, but already the Lexus of Mead is scooting away at the front of the field. So much for pole position for J. Caesar. He has to try and run down a car. The same fate that has befell him for most of this season. Prius Killer and SRD Shredder are having an interesting little fight between each other for 4th and 5th position. They are both tucked up right behind PTG Little Caesar as they come out of the carousel onto this short straightaway to the kink. This is going to be one of the most dangerous corners on the circuit. They're side by side for a lead, and J. Caesar got by Mead. J. Caesar got by Mead going into the kink, and now Mead's going to try and come back. The Lexus has a straight line speed advantage. Someone is into the wall further back. Little Caesar is there as well. Mead still has the inside line advantage. He'll make contact. He's got both Caesars hitting him. J. Caesar has turned out ahead of him. Now Shredder is going to move up into the 3rd position around Little Caesar. And the Lexus has a big twitch coming out of the Canada corner complex into the 1st corner. And J. Caesar normally takes him all day long to start to try and make a move on the leader. But no, J. Caesar got by Mead, and he will lead the 1st lap here. Mead is under attack from Shredder. The Mercedes has a big run on the Lexus, tucked up behind him. All right, he'll make a move to the inside. He positions his car, but he's not going to brake. that aggressively. Thing is, though, the Lexus does have to brake early, and Shredder gets knocked all sorts of sideways. Now Shredder looks to the inside of Mead. Is this injury, or is this a tire differential? We know that Mead likes to do his single stop strategy. Is Mead just on a harder compound, ideally trying to just gain positions back by skipping a pit stop, or is this injury that is compromising Mead's performance right now? And Shredder, who is in one of his best runs thus far this season, is currently running in the second position. Mead looks to the inside. They'll be neck and neck as they jump under braking here into turn 5. Mead has the preferred inside line of choice, but Shredder can accelerate out. Now uphill under the Corvette Bridge in turn 6. Shredder seems to have the advantage coming out, and yes, Shredder will keep Mead behind for the moment. This is great news for Jay Caesar. It's not going to be a lot, but it would give him a chance to close in on Mead on the points. Now here comes Prius Killer. He looks to the inside. That's another BMW car, but he's not able to do anything with it. Lil Caesar, by you, has been pushed all the way back to 6th position in all this fighting. And FL Racer and SDR Dremora have both completely lost the plot, but that driver we saw go off into the dirt during lap 1, we still don't know who that is, but we have stayed green since. And now Mead is going to slip all the way back to 4th, so it seems like Mead is incredibly... Oh my goodness! PM221 with a gigantic hit in the key. Is there any damage? Yes! The car is destroyed! PM221's car is absolutely destroyed in almost every way! That Acura did just not hold onto the track going into the kink and slammed the outside wall with the driver's side door, and it completely destroyed him. And PM, who has had a series of great runs throughout the majority of the season, is going to have to pit to repair the damage for this. But at the front, it is Jay Caesar, and it looks like we will stay green despite that big accident we saw there. But PM221 is going to drop all the way out from the rest of the field. He has been in a small fight with Ludicrous Speed for positions for most of the season, but I think this will pretty much solidify PM's position in the points. We're still green for the moment, though. Jay Caesar leads, Shredder is second, Mead is third, with Prius in 4th. Mead seems to be incredibly strong in the first third of the circuit. He seems to be equally strong to the BMWs in the second third, but once you get to the carousel and then into the kink, that seems to be where the Lexus of Mead is struggling the most. Right now, though, Prius Killer is trying to keep PTG Lil Caesar behind him. It is a BMW on BMW fight for the 4th spot. Lil Caesar dives to the inside of Prius Killer. Side by side, he can't make it stick. Prius is going to accelerate ahead on the outside and will hold the position as they go into turn 6, but Prius leaves the inside door open. I don't know if it was out of nicety. He didn't know if he cleared Lil Caesar or not, but the door is open. However, Lil Caesar's not able to capitalize, but he slides! Lil Caesar slides! Prius and Lil Caesar both drop their rear tires into the dirt, and that's going to let Mead scoot away a little bit in the 3rd position. So for the moment, Mead holds on to 3rd. This is the most interesting fight, I would argue, in 4th and 5th position. Prius Killer trying to keep Lil Caesar behind him right now. The number 76 washes wide coming out of the carousel. Lil Caesar tucks up behind, now into the kink once again. Both cars will stay on track, no issue there. Not quite nose to tail as they come down into Canada Corner. You can see they close down on Mead despite the fight they've had. They close down on Mead basically from the run from the carousel down to Canada Corner, and then Mead starts opening the gap up. If this duo can stop fighting, they might have a chance to run down Mead, but as it stands right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. These two are too busy fighting with each other for position. All right, now we see Lil Caesar looking at the inside of Prius Killer. They're going to be in a drag race down the front straightaway. Prius has a small amount of draft off of Mead, but I don't think this is going to be enough to help him. Lil Caesar can't complete the overtake. He's going to have to do it in the middle of the corner, outbrake Prius. He will beat him. He's going to be ahead. Lil Caesar now gets ahead of Prius. Now Prius will try and cross over. He looks to the inside, into this next, not quite 90, it's a little closer to 95-degree corner, but no, he can't get to the inside. Lil Caesar is going to move up into 4th position, and now is his chance to try and run down AMS Mead. Mead still holds station over Lil Caesar, but Caesar is running him down. The big question, of course, is going to be tire life. What is everyone's tires looking like typically? Mead runs a harder tire compound, so he's going to be slower in the races, but he makes up the time by making one less stop compared to the majority of the field. And we'll look, once we're at the end of this lap, we will take a look at everyone's tire life to get an idea as to what kind of tires everyone is looking at right now. Boy, Little Caesar is really crumbling under the pressure from Prius Killer behind. And while PTG Little Caesar has the draft from AMS Mead, he is not doing that good. He drops tires in the dirt and Prius shoots by. So PTG Little Caesar is showing some weakness under pressure, and Little Caesar is going to fall behind Prius Killer, and Mead in third is still going to have to deal with a BMW pushing hard behind. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, let's go ahead and look at tire life. 26% already for PTG Little Caesar at the head of the field. When we look at Shredder, who is in second right now, it is 27%. Third is Mead, and we anticipate the numbers will be a lot better. Yep, 18%, and those are on the rear tires at that. Then you have Prius Killer, who is running in fourth. He is running around with 27%, so a little bit better than your leaders. PTG Little Caesar, who is probably running the same setup his father has, is at the 28%. So right now it looks like Prius Killer has the best tire life of the top 5 drivers who are, I believe, on softs, but Mead is on medium tires. You can see Mead is really struggling to keep these BMWs behind, and honestly, I think if PTG Little Caesar didn't go off in the kink, we would most definitely see Mead already fall to fourth and maybe fall to fifth. But a little bit of mistakes by Little Caesar and Prius Killer means that for now he still holds third. And the leaders, this is the big thing, the leaders are not pulling away from Mead at a massive rate. But remember, that one-stop strategy is not always the best way to go. Mead tried making the one-stop strategy work at Sunset, and even with some yellow flag laps early in the event, he ended up being massively compromised, and a run that should have been an easy win saw him drop to third. Boy, Mead really sideways, and now Prius has a look to the inside. Prius drops tires in the dirt. They come out of the carousel. Mead still has the position. So Prius can catch Mead, but getting alongside him seems to be a lot harder ask for the BMW driver. The top two are getting away, but they're not getting away very fast. Mead runs really wide out of Canada corner. Prius is going to come tight inside, but now he's going to be trapped on the outside. Mead a little bit sideways. There's just nothing you can do to the Lexus, it seems. If the Lexus can be denied a run out of a corner, you might be able to get by him, but the Lexus has just been so much faster in a straight line that while he's not the greatest over the course of a lap, straight line speed is going to be what determines most fights when it comes to driver versus driver, and then pure lap time is usually made up in the corners. The BMWs seem to be faster right now, but as long as these two are on top of each other, Mead's going to have the advantage. Mead slides wide out of turn one. Prius has a run once again. He tucks up behind the Lexus. Not really able to make a move through there, and that's actually let Little Caesar close in on Prius Killer. So now, once again, the two BMWs are going to be stuck on top of each other. Little Caesar looks to the inside of Prius Killer, side by side, and Little Caesar has the inside line. Prius tries to fight back. They make some contact, and Prius goes into the dirt, so now Little Caesar goes back into fourth. But all this fighting is great news for Mead because it gives him a few corners to just consolidate. Right now, J. Caesar leads. Shredder runs in second. Mead is 6.5 seconds back in third. But after only 4 laps of running, J. Caesar and Shredder had already burnt up a lot of their tire life. If you're to pit once every 8 laps, that'd be pain on lap 9, Lap 17. Little Caesar drops tires into the dirt there and lets Prius get close up. So yeah, it looks like Mead's gonna scoot away because Little Caesar is faster than Prius, but he is so mistake prone. Prius hasn't made any mistakes, he's just slow. But as long as Little Caesar is causing troubles for Prius, no one's going to get by Mead here. Anyways, if you're paying every 8 laps for soft tires, you do the mathematics, that would be you pit lap 9 for softs, pit lap 17, you pit lap 25, you pit lap 25 and 8 would be 33. Those numbers aren't looking very good. Let's say you tried pushing softs to 9 laps, you would have to pit once every 9 laps. You could potentially make the race on just 3 stops. On lap 10, lap 19, and then lap 28. But again, I don't know how likely that is going to be. And the other thing is that as we're starting to see the sun break through the sky here, the track's going to get warmer and these cars are going to handle a little bit differently as this event goes on. That could have a pretty significant impact here. All right, fight for 6th, 7th, and 8th. This is Ludicrous Speed, NFL Racer, and AMS Andrew. Ludicrous Speed, I believe, is running medium tires. NFL Racer is honestly having one of his best starts to one of these races that he's had in a long time. Typically, we see him struggling to be in the top 10, but right now he is fighting for 7th. Also, credit to PM221, he has caught SCR Dremora and has slipped by him at this stage of the event after that big accident he had in the kink earlier. And then right behind NFL and Ludicrous is AMS Andrew, and then AMS Rambo in the Lexus is not that much farther behind. So we have 4 different manufacturers here in this fight from 6th to 9th. 2 American manufacturers in the form of Chevrolet and Dodge, then a British manufacturer in Aston Martin, and then the Japanese/American, it's more Japanese than American, in the Lexus. NFL Racer looks to the inside of Ludicrous Speed. Ludicrous tries to defend, but NFL is going to muscle his way by. Neck and neck, and AMS Andrew is going to get by as well. That's just not a good line for NFL Racer to make work, and it's brought Rambo back into the fray here. Riding on board with AMS Rambo, sorry, as we run at the back of this 4-car fight here for position. Ludicrous a little bit sideways in the kink, and it lets AMS Andrew go by the straight line. NFL Racer has to draft off both of them, but that Dodge does not have the straight line speed it needs to make moves. Oh my goodness! NFL Racer gets hit from behind by AMS Rambo. Both the Viper and the Lexus go off circuit. So Andrew goes into 6th right now, and Ludicrous is now in 7th. Also, I thought it wasn't going to happen, but Mead has fallen behind Little Caesar. So Little Caesar has finally completed the overtake and has moved up into 3rd position. Prius Killer is about a second out right now, so Mead's not under pressure at the moment, but he will have a chance to try and do something to Little Caesar shortly here. And if he can't get by Little Caesar, this could get really interesting because it could bring Prius back up into the fray. So Little Caesar having a little sloppy, but a strong return to IESC here. Again, this is anticipated to be a one-off. We're not anticipating to see him run in any more races after this, but it is nice to have the father-son duo back. First, the father is leading, and 3rd, the son is trying to hold off your points leader in 4th, and that's the other thing to consider. In the championship fight, every position that Mead loses is another shot that Jay Caesar could use to close in the fight. If Mead is being kept up and held up behind Little Caesar, loses a bunch of time, it will negate the advantage that he would have from only making 1 pit stop, which is what we anticipate he's going to do here. The other question, of course, is what drivers are going to start making their pit stops here. Looks like Little Caesar has gotten a decent distance away from Mead. Oh, Mead has a big twitch over the curb. Somehow he keeps that Lexus together. But that was a gigantic twist over the curb. Prius Killer is up into 5th, and Ludicrous is 6th, leading this train of cars. He's got a Dodge behind him, followed by a Aston Martin and a Lexus. The Dodge is closing on the Chevrolet in a straight line. Heavy under the braking. Will the Dodge lunge? No, not this time. This is a very active fight from about 6th to 9th right now. and basically everyone behind this group from 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, they're all just running laps solo. So we have a prolonged fight going on for 3rd, and they're all slowly closing on Shredder, I think. Then we have this big fight from 6th to 9th. So an interesting set of battles going on at this stage of the event here. AMS Andrew has a run on NFL Racer. Aston Martin tucked up behind the Dodge, looks to the inside, heavy under braking into turn 1. The Dodge slides wide. There's not a lot you can do except hope that you can get out of the corner with good speed. That is not what happens to NFL Racer. He's still side by side, and he's going to be trapped on the outside again in the next braking zone. On to the backstretch, and no, NFL Racer got a better run out of the corner than Andrew did, and now Rambo is going to make a move on Andrew. Thing is that Andrew has the toe off of NFL Racer, NFL Racer has the toe off of Ludicrous Speed as they go down the back straightaway right now. Rambo looks to the outside, and Andrew is not going to fight. Andrew backs off early and just lets Rambo completely overtake before they even exit the braking zone. This Dodge of NFL Racer seems to be really good in the middle part of the circuit. Gets tucked up right behind these other cars. But the moment you get into a longer straight, he just starts immediately hemorrhaging a lot of time. Ludicrous defends the inside. Rambo comes to NFL Racer's inside now. NFL is going to lunge deep under braking, try to go around the outside of Ludicrous Speed in the Chevrolet. Can't make it stick. And NFL ends up on the dirt, and he's sideways. He almost caught Andrew into an instant, but Andrew will go off circuit. Andrew will go sliding into the dirt. And this could drop him down to 10th. Yes, as AMS and Doctor and the other Dodge is going to get by him now. Also, Mead and Prius Killer are having a bit of a fight of their own, and Mead and Prius have both gone off. Definitely have gotten really aggressive in this fight. But Mead and Prius both go off in their fight for 4th, and mind you, that is Shredder who is in 3rd. So Shredder has somehow lost a huge chunk of time, and Lil Caesar has gone by. The Caesar clan is running 1-2 on track right now. Shredder runs down the front straightaway. Mead on his inside. Prius right behind Mead. Shredder is going to get freight trained. There's nothing he can do. What has happened to Shredder? Has he burned the tires up too far? Has he taken the tires too far? Potentially. He's at 56. He needs to make it all the way around. What's happened? It's gone black. Come on, game. Game. Thank you. And AMS Custom Dips is out of the event. So Dips knocked out. AMS Andrew is the first driver to pit here at the end of lap 10. So again, if Andrew is anticipating to just do 3 stints, 4 stints, 3 pit stops and soft tires, that is the ideal strategy to do. But Shredder is now hemorrhaging time rapidly. Lil Caesar's completely run away from Mead, and Shredder has now slipped to 4th position. He's got Prius tucked up right behind him in the BMW. Meanwhile, this fight for 6th, 7th, and 8th continues, and Doctorow is all the way back in 9th, and Andrew had been in this fight, has fallen back to 11th. Remember, he did pit, though. So this is now a 3-way fight between Ludicrous Speed, Rambo, and NFL Racer. But as this is going on, it seems to me like Ludicrous is a little bit more comfortable with his car later on. Oh, and Rambo has dropped tires in the dirt. He's going to lose a chunk of time. It'll bring NFL Racer right back up to him. And the Lexus slides into the dirt again. And he keeps the car just straight enough. But now NFL Racer has a run on him into a braking zone. Heavy braking zone. NFL, is he going to try and complete the overtake on the outside of the Dodge? It's no matter of try. He does it. Great job by NFL. Rambo, with a 2 twitches, is now going to slip to 8th. And Prius Killer is going to pit out 5th position. So Prius goes 10 laps on what we believe are soft tires. And NFL Racer slides off the dirt just ahead of Rambo. No one else is pitting, but NFL, having slid off there, is going to let Rambo back by. And now we want to talk about the same thing we talk about so often, paying the piper. about tires management. The earlier you pit, you're going to be a lot faster than everyone else, but you're going to have to pay the piper somehow, and you will be slower at the end of the stints. Well, you say, fine, I'll just pit early on my next stint as well. Well, that could somersault, and then at the end of the race, you could be running multiple seconds a lap slower for the last 2-3 laps of the race. That has been a big factor in a lot of these events. It's one of the reasons why we see AMS Mead constantly going on one-stop strategy, so he never has to worry about that. But those drivers who have already made their first stop, Prius Killer and AMS Andrew, I'm just going to be 100% honest. I'm really concerned about what their tire life is going to look like near the end of this race here. AMS Mead continues to run without issue. If Mead wants to make this a single stop race, he would want to pit around lap 19. It would be a big ask. He's at 43% tire wear on that left rear. This is not looking great for Mead. Not saying it's impossible, but it's not looking great. However, he is pulling away from Shredder, and he is closing back down the gap they had on Little Caesar. So despite burning up the tires really fast, Mead is still faster than everyone else on track right now. According to my information, according to what I'm seeing, Mead is the fastest driver on track at this stage of the event. Jay Caesar has led every lap. It wasn't easy though. That first lap was a prolonged fight between him and me, but Jay Caesar has led every lap thus far. NFL Racer has significantly fallen off the pace. Is he damaged? No, he's not damaged, but his tires are just not in a good position right now. So he's definitely pushed the tires farther than they really can go. And NFL Racer is now going to go ahead and come into the pits. AMS Rambo is going to stay out on track though as he tries to run down Ludicrous speed. Shredder has completely lost touch with me. So Shredder, a great start, was as high as second early on, but it seems like as the track has warmed up and as his tires is falling off, Shredder is now hemorrhaging lap time rapidly here. So it looks like it's going to be a fight between Jay Caesar and AMS Mead for this race win. Jay Caesar running in near completely clean air. Mead running in not so clean air, but he's trying the one stop. And Mead is going to have to deal with Little Caesar here. So Lexus on BMW action. Now earlier it was Little Caesar who had the advantage, but it seems like at this stage in the event, as the tires are falling off for the BMW drivers, Mead just walks by. There was nothing that Little Caesar could do. Mead just disposed of him like he was standing still. Real quickly, we look at the tire wear for our race leader, Jay Caesar. He's at the 70 percentile mark on the left rear right now. Now, if you pit this lap and then just replicate this, you could stop again around lap 26 and be fine to the end. A two-stop strategy would be pitting on lap 12 and lap 24 or lap 13. Then after lap 13 you pit again on lap 25 and you should be good to the end, and I think that's going to be what Jay Caesar is after. So Jay Caesar coming into the pits now, so this will give Mead the race lead, and Little Caesar will follow his father onto the pit lane. I imagine a lot of drivers who are going for two stops, we see Shredder in fourth pitting as well. A lot of drivers who are on the two-stop strategy, just trying to maximize the run on the soft tires, are going to be pitting now. But Mead, we anticipate, is on a single-stop strategy, and he's going to be able to go really, really far on these tires. The thing is, his peak performance is nothing compared to the other cars on track. So Ludicrous Speed actually is now going to move all the way up into third, and Rambo is going to be second as this duo continues to fight for the second position. So my interest is, what is Rambo's pit stop strategy? Is he going to try and mimic? Right now, Rambo looks like he might be trying to mimic Mead's strategy here at this stage of the event. Ludicrous is honestly at a rate that he's going. Ludicrous could do the same thing. Ludicrous could try and mimic AMS Rambo and Mead's pit stop strategy and make it just a single stop and just put on the harder tires again. It'd be an interesting strategy. Jay Caesar right now is about 9 seconds out from this duo, and he will be on what I believe should be nice fresh sauce to the end of this race. well, not to the end of this race, to about lap 25. I'm really interested to see, because Ludacris has been a fan of running 2 soft stints and 1 medium stint this entire race. But if he can make these mediums last to lap 19, a single stop, just going medium, could be what the doctor orders. Everyone except for our top 3 drivers have pitted at this stage of the race. So PM221 is a bit of an exception because PM pitted around lap 4 after that big wallop he took on the wall in the kink in the first few laps of this event. Ludacris gets right underneath the Lexus, pushes the Lexus sideways, just pushes him right off the racing line, but the Lexus has a straight line speed advantage that the Chevrolet can't do anything about. So Rambo holds station. Rambo slides a little bit wide out of Canada corner. There's not really anything that Ludacris can do to fight back. So Prius Killer, I think, may be on a 3-stop strategy, but J. Caesar, Little Caesar, and Shredder are pretty much guaranteed that they're on 2-stop strategies, and then Mead, Rambo, and Ludacris we are expecting to be on 1-stop strategies. Right now, at the stage of this race, though, all these cars on these one-stop strategies, these are some of the worst times that these cars are going to handle. And now PM221 will make his first planned stop. It will obviously be a little later, because again, he had that big incident earlier they had to repair the car for him. And at the head of the field, Mead has put STR Dremora a lap down, not quite halfway through this race. Ludacris dives to the inside of AMS Rambo. Rambo just goes right off circuit, seems to have trouble. Oh, and Ludacris slides off as well. So both these drivers are most definitely pushing their tires farther than I think they anticipated. They're in the 50% range now when it comes to tire wear. I look at our race leader, AMS Mead. He is in the 54% on that left rear. I'm really, really interested to see what Mead can do to keep this car under him. He's got a gigantic gap over the rest of the field, and it looks to me like the one-stop is just going to be massively overpowered. Mead is not losing a lot of time. The thing is, though, there's still several more laps left, and Mead is bleeding off some time. He's not losing as much time as anticipated, but he is bleeding off time. As the tires continue to fall off, it's only going to get worse for him. Fight with Ludacris speed and Rambo continues, though. This is the best performance by a Chevy thus far this season. Rambo tucked up behind Ludacris here. Oh, and Ludacris is going to come into the pits early. So is Ludacris trying his normal medium soft strategy. Well, this will drop Ludacris behind the Caesars, possibly behind Shredder as well, I imagine. So J. Caesar is going to move back into 3rd position. And J. Caesar is only about 5 seconds out from AMS Rambo at this stage of the event. And right now, J. Caesar should be able to run down Mead over these laps, but will he run him down enough to be nice and clear of Mead after that Lexus makes his, what we anticipate will be his only pit stop today? Rambo is now dealing with a bit of traffic in the form of Dremora right now. PM221 is not really... I think PM221 runs the risk of going a lap down by the end of this race, but there's no guarantee. I think everyone else is going to finish on the lead lap here, just because of how big this circuit is. There is a little bit of tire smoke. I wonder if Dremora got sideways as he tried to let Rambo by. Yeah, J. Caesar is now close to within 3 seconds of Rambo, but it seems like AMS Rambo is trying to replicate Mead's pit stop strategy here at Road America. Oh, and Dramore is off. Seemed like a real glancing blow, so he should be able to continue without too much issue here. But Jay Caesar running down AMS Rambo into Lexus. Well, earlier in the event, as we were coming to the green flag, I said there was a high likelihood you could see a different winner. But with the way this is going, I don't think so. It looks like Mead is going to be on his way to his third different victory this season, just off the back of only making a single stop, and I think Rambo is going to do the same. Now, Jay Caesar obviously has the speed to run Rambo down before Rambo makes his inevitable stop. He's going to have to do this again later. And the pace difference between Mead and Jay Caesar is not big enough, I think. All right, Rambo has Jay Caesar closing up to his rear bumper now. Jay Caesar looking to the outside of Rambo. Neck and neck, heavy under braking. At the bottom of the hill. Well, it's pretty obvious that the tire advantage is massively in Caesar's favor, but it's just not mattering when it comes to the fact that lap times are not falling off for the leader. So while Rambo isn't really keeping up his pace like Mead is, Caesar, I think, can only really hope for second. And the problem is, second, he's finished second several times already, and the guy who's going to finish second too is the guy leading the points. Jay Caesar is honestly putting together a good showing, but unless something crazy happens, I see no way that Jay Caesar can run Mead down and get back by him here by the end of this race. We know that when Mead pits, he's going to fall behind Jay Caesar, but I don't think he's going to fall far enough behind that Jay Caesar won't have to worry about it again later. I think this race is going to be solely determined off the back of number of pit stops for just about every position on track here. Field's really spread out at this stage of the event. There's basically no actual fights for any position going on. Although I will give AMS and Doctorow some credit, he is trying to close in the gap between himself and an NFL racer. And there is a possibility that Ludicrous Speed might catch Prius Killer later in the event. But right now it seems like everyone's just burning off laps in clean air. Jay Caesar still has not cut this gap down to less than 20 seconds. And again, Mead needs to pit at the end of lap 19 in order to make this a nice clean one stop. I look at his tire life, 64% on that left rear. It's going to be a little bit rough, but I see no reason to believe he won't be able to do it. Though he is definitely struggling, but the pit lane is so long here. Staying out on track as long as you can may be the way to go. Boy, Mead is really struggling. If he ends up on any of these curbs, there's a high risk he will crash. As long as he keeps the car off the curbs, I think he'll be okay. As I say that, he goes and slides right over two of the curbs. And in Jay Caesar's defense, he has now closed the gap down in this lap alone to less than 19 seconds between himself and Mead. So Mead's tire situation has become pretty nasty. And mind you, Mead's not just going to be doing this now. He's going to have to do this again at the end of this race as well. Now Jay Caesar's within 18 seconds of Mead. If Mead pits now, he'll have to go 19 laps. No, he's going to go another lap now. But Jay Caesar within 17 seconds now of Mead as the leader crosses the start-finish line. Suddenly, the gap is rapidly closing in the BMW driver's favor. And Ludicrous Speed has gotten by Shredder somehow. What in the devil happened here? Has Shredder had an off? Because it looked like it was in the kink. Oh my goodness, and the rear end of Shredder's car is heavily, heavily damaged. There's nothing damaged to the internals, but Shredder's rear end and his springs are very badly damaged right now. And Shredder, who had a potential run at, he was as high as second earlier, now in a horrible position. I think likely for Shredder, he'll have to throw on mediums or hard tires and just not pit again for the rest of this race. Oh God, he needs to make sure he doesn't hit anyone. All right, it looks like NFL will get by him safely here, and Shredder is barely going to drag that car back into pit lane. Meanwhile, we look at Mead. Boy, Mead is really struggling. And again, he's doing this now. He's going to have to do this again at the end of this race. He's at 69% tire wear on the left rear. And again, he still has that high-speed kink he has to go through. And Jay Caesar's closed the gap down to less than 14 seconds. Now it's less than 13 seconds. The gap is vanishing and vanishing rapidly. In just this lap and last lap alone, Jay Caesar has lost half of the lead that he had over Mead, and Mead is completely sideways. Oh my goodness, he drifted the kink that time. And now the gap's down to just 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds. He still has the lead, but he's going to lose a lot of time when he pits. The gap he has to third is now less than the gap he had to Jay Caesar in second at the start of lap 18. All right, and now Mead finally comes into the pit lane. But with that kind of massive tire fall off, Jay Caesar may have a chance to make a two-stop strategy work. I don't know how likely of a chance it is, but it does seem likely as Jay Caesar, your pole sitter, goes back to the top. Shredder, after making his pit stop, has actually ended up behind his good friend PM221. And AMS Rambo is pitted along with Mead, unsurprisingly. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the one-stop strategy is not as good as it seems. Ludicrous Speed, who pitted earlier than Rambo, is going to end up well ahead of the Lexus. But again, I anticipate we're going to see Ludicrous make another stop, while Rambo is not going to have to worry about that. NFL Racer is going to clear Rambo as well for the moment, and so will Indoctro. But Rambo and the Lexus is going to try and mimic Mead's strategy, but with how massively the tires fell off in those last 2 laps before pit stops, I have no idea how this is actually going to turn out for these drivers. The gap between first and second is 9.5 seconds. It is Jay Caesar leading his son, Little Caesar. Little Caesar, on his first trip back to IESC since the Spa race, Jay Caesar, on his first pole of the season, trying to convert that into a victory on a two-stop strategy. Mead is on track, 28 seconds behind your race leader. Mead is actually ended up behind Prius Killer. So I didn't notice this, but Prius Killer is right ahead of Mead right now. So Mead has to make his way around a BMW again. This is the second time he's going to have to do this. Now, again, Mead's going to have a tire advantage because Prius has been on these tires for a little while. So Mead should be able to dispose of Prius without too much issue. But still, it's going to be a problem for the Lexus. He should be able to outbrake him going into Canada corner here. He's got lined up on the inside. He should be able to dive heavy under braking and complete the overtake. Oh, and the Lexus slides wide, and Prius goes right back by. So Mead got a little bit too aggressive, and Prius just made the switchback work. This is taking Mead a little longer to get by Prius than he wanted, and that's good news for Jay Caesar. Mead currently 29 seconds behind Jay Caesar. And right now, these laps are when Mead is the fastest on the track. Every lap they say he's going to get slower. Right now, this is Mead's ideal laps, and he is being hampered by another car on the circuit. Now, it might help him a little bit that Prius is giving him a tow down the straight, so that might help a bit. But if we get to the Corvette bridge in turn 6, and Mead is still behind. That's just, I don't see that being the case. Mead needs to get by Prius and get by him cleanly now without issue so he can start turning laps in clean air. And to think that Mead is trying to do this with an injured hand, I believe it's his thumb in particular, that was injured about 4 days ago. And Mead is still trying to pull off a victory here. And yeah, Mead has cleared Prius pretty handily. So it looks like Mead now will have a chance to try and start cutting down the gap between himself and Jay Caesar. Yeah, Prius has completely lost Mead. In fact, as you look at his tire life, Prius, 36% tire wear right now. Real quickly, we want to look at Jay Caesar, your leader. 44% tire wear on the left front right now. So I'm anticipating we'll see the Caesar duo pit on lap 25. So they're going to be out here for quite a bit longer here. Prius, I think he's doing something else. I think he's doing a soft medium strategy, a soft medium medium or soft medium soft strategy right now. But he is on medium tires, and he's losing touch with Mead, but also is running the risk of letting Ludicrous Speed catch him before Prius inevitably makes his next stop. Prius does have a bit of a toe off of Mead going down the straight, so that should help him a little bit. Again, if you got a toe on that front straight and the back straight, and to a lesser extent, the run down Canada corner, it can really help salvage a bad lap. Those cars ahead of you will almost inevitably be faster mid-corner, especially with the NASCAR update that came back in November, altering the draft physics again. There's not really any downside to being at the top. And also, I'll say this as well, right now the sun is nice and high in the sky. There is no issue at this stage of the race when it comes to a cold track. The track is nice and warm, and the way the car is handling now is probably going to be how it handles to the end of this race. So here's a fight for 6 going on between NFL Racer and AMS Indoctro. And both these drivers are about 12 seconds up the road from AMS Rambo, as Rambo is trying to mimic Jay Caesar's single-stop strategy. So these two drivers are not just fight between each other. They have to deal with that fight farther back. But this is some of the best showing we've seen from a Dodge all season long. These drivers weren't even running on the lead lap really at the end of the Hockenheim race 3 weeks ago. But right now they're putting together a pretty respectable showing. Also, Prius has actually not let Mead get too far away. And Mead is not closing on Jay Caesar either. So Jay Caesar is still opening the gap on Mead at this stage of the event. And Mead does not seem to be very fast on this new set of tires that he's on. Is this a repeat? Because this is the exact same things that we saw start to unfold at the Sunset Peninsula race last week. Mead led, pitted about the halfway point, and then afterwards seemed to be even slower after making a stop. We found out later that Mead had to abort his medium strategy there to go to a medium hards. Is that's what happening to Mead as well here? Because Mead seems to be significantly slower than Jay Caesar at this stage of the event. Indoctro making a run on an NFL Racer, but doesn't push the issue. And here's the other thing, Ludicrous Speed is running down both Mead and Prius Killer on merit at the moment. Of course, the big thing though is that Ludicrous, we're basically guaranteed to see him make another pit stop today. Prius, we're just about guaranteed to see another pit stop. That's not the case for Mead. I think our current top 3 drivers, Jay Caesar, Lil Caesar, Mead, are going to finish in the top 3 positions. The question is just going to be, is Mead going to be first, second, or third, realistically? This fight for 4th is getting pretty interesting, though, because Ludicrous Speed is running down Prius, and again, I'm anticipating both of these drivers will have to pit sooner rather than later. And if Ludicrous Speed does catch Mead and puts Mead under a little bit of a fight, that could really, really up in Mead's chance to try and get by Jay Caesar here. Right now, reign in clean air is the most important thing for the Lexus driver, but even then, he's reigning clean air right now, and he's still losing time to Jay Caesar at the head of the field. One good thing for me, though, is that he is still poised to take home a podium. And while Jay Caesar would close down the points gap, with how few races there are left in the season, Jay Caesar needs Mead to have an outright accident or miss races if Jay Caesar wants a shot at the championship. But still, it would be Jay Caesar's first win this season and a 5th different winner this year. But there's still a lot up in the air because that final pit stop still has to come for Jay Caesar. And we don't know how much time the BMW is going to lose at the end of his soft tires. Oh, and that's Prius. He's off. Is there damage to the car? No damage, but Prius is struggling behind Mead. And Ludacris is right there now, and he is faster than both of these drivers. Right out the back of Mead's machine. You can see Prius is in his draft, and you can see Ludacris closing down on the front straightaway right now. Heavy under the brakes is going to be Prius and Mead. The gap from first to third has opened up to 35 seconds now. Prius has a run, but is not going to push the issue here. Now onto the back straightaway once more. Prius has a good draft this time. Really good draft. Mead defends the inside, but Prius isn't even going to try and make a move until they come to corner exit. But the BMW does not seem to have the initial traction out of the corner to get alongside the Lexus on corner exit. But Mead is struggling right now at this stage of the event. There's an interesting little fight going on for 8th and 9th between PMTT1 and AMS Rambo. But this, I think, is the more interesting one. Mead's off the throttle for so long in the carousel, and the car is so nasty. I think Mead may have gone a little bit too far on his setup when it comes to taking downforce out, and it's really compromising his run. He's into the wall. He's hard into the wall. Is he damaged? As Mead is going to fall now back to 5th. Is he damaged? No damage, but Mead has had an incident there. He has gone off and has now lost 2 positions to both Prius Killer and Ludacris Speed. And now Ludacris is tucked up behind the BMW of Prius Killer. Mead slides behind Ludacris. He does seem to have a great straight line speed advantage over these other cars. And with the draft, it's going to be even more significant. But the thing is that he is so much worse in the corners. Ludacris is tucked up behind Prius, and Mead is even closer to Ludacris than Ludacris is to Prius right now. BMW, Chevy, Lexus, all nose to tail right now for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Prius is a little wide out of turn 1, but Ludacris doesn't get a chance to make a move to the inside. They're all still nose to tail here. Prius is sideways. He hit the inside curb and kicked the rear end of his BMW sideways. Here comes Ludacris. Here comes Mead. NFL Racer making a pit stop farther back. But here we go. Mead is going to give Ludacris a push down the straightaway. Prius has the inside line, but Ludacris is going to clear him by the time they get to the braking zone. Mead looks at maybe try to make it 3 wide. He'll back out of it. Prius tries to dive in, but instead has to defend from the Lexus looking to his inside. Ludacris up to 3rd. Mead now to the inside of Prius. Contact. And Ludacris is going to open the gap a bit. Mead is going to complete the overtake on the outside around Prius Killer. And mind you, this is the lap I'm anticipating to see Jay Caesar and Little Caesar at the head of the field pit. AMS Andrew has now fallen back to 11th, and he's pitting, so I think Andrew may have had an accident as well that may have damaged his car. Mead is into the dirt, and so is Prius Killer. Prius spent a lot more time in the dirt. He's still completely sideways. And there your leaders are coming into the pits. Where is Mead and Ludacris going to end up? This should be Jay Caesar and Little Caesar's last pit stops of the day. I'm anticipating Ludacris Speed is going to make another stop in a few laps' time. Well, already Jay Caesar is moving on the pit straightaway, and Ludacris is pitting now. Ludacris is pitting early, so is Prius. So Mead's going to be all on track, all on his own now, coming down the front straightaway. But it looks like Jay Caesar is still going to be ahead of Mead. Mead is closing the gap down, but Jay Caesar is clear. Jay Caesar is clear of Mead by about 2.5 seconds. Now he's going to have to get these tires warmed up and avoid having anything go wrong, but Jay Caesar is still your leader after making his second stop of the day. And Mead is now going to be at a tire disadvantage to Jay Caesar for the rest of this race. This might be what Jay Caesar needs to finally bring home his first victory of the season. I'm a little curious why Ludacris pitted as early as he did. He probably could have stayed out 1 extra lap or 2 extra laps and then been on better tires to the end of this race compared to everyone else he was fighting with. But still, he's not going to be at a massive disadvantage to the other cars on track. So here's a fight between PM221 and Prius Killer. PM is on a radically alternate strategy due to that big accident he had earlier in the kink. So Prius and PM are not legitimately fighting each other for position right now. Prius dives to the inside of the Acura, and while PM in the Acura has probably the best car when it comes to acceleration out of corners, it does not seem to matter when you're this much off pace and are trying to recover from an accident early. There's not much you can do. So I think these top 5 guys are the 5 that we're going to see fighting or on the top 5 finishing positions here to the end of this race. The question is just Mead. Mead was in a similar position last week at Sunset Peninsula and slipped back to 3rd. I think Mead has enough of an advantage over Ludacris Speed and Prius that he won't have to worry about falling any farther back than 3rd. When it comes to the championship, though, I think off the back of just generally performing better than Jay Caesar over most of the season, coupled with the fact that Mead and Jay Caesar are the only 2 championship contenders that haven't missed any races, I think Mead is still going to further solidify his grasp on the title. The big thing is just going to be, can Little Caesar catch Mead by the end of this stint or not? Because everyone in the top 5 are going to be dealing with some significant tire fall off in the last 2 laps. Mead seemed to be a lot more extreme than what we saw the Caesar duo dealing with earlier. But again, if Little Caesar's micromanaging his tires in the last 2 laps, he may not be able to capitalize on Mead's struggles at the end of this stint on tires. Other thing, though, is that Mead is just hemorrhaging time to Jay Caesar, and Little Caesar is slowly pulling the gap down. This is even before the tires have really fallen off. Most of the fights on track, again, have pretty much evaporated at this stage of the event. PM221 falls back to 11th once more. I imagine that stop will be his last stop of the day. There's a bit of a stalking battle going on between Prius Killer and Ludacris Speed right now. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and spend a lap on board with Jay Caesar for a full lap on board with the BMW driver, so you get an idea what a flying lap looks like here around Road America. We'll go silent in the box for one full flying lap here. right, and that is a full lap on board with PTZ Jay Caesar, your current race leader, and right now it's looking like he is on track to win this race. Here's his son, Little Caesar, and I'm watching the gaps between himself and Mead. There's fluctuating around the 7 to 8 second, well, 9 second mark. Something just happened to Little Caesar here. Oh, he's got engine damage. Well, that will take Little Caesar out of any chance that he had of running Mead down to the end of this race. Sad to say. So yeah, it looks like then our top 3 finishers have all locked in their finishing positions. Little Caesar with that engine damage is just not going to have any chance to run Mead down to the end of this race. Unless Mead takes damage of his own, and I just don't see that happening. Shredder, who had that incident about halfway through the event, is now making his final stop. So we'll likely see him drop out of the top 10 as well. So this could be interesting for NFL Racer, because NFL Racer is on track for one of his best finishes thus far this season. Granted, it would only be a 8th, but still, an 8th in a 13-car field is a little bit better than 9th in a 10-car field. So it would be an improvement. Talent is a little bit deeper in today's race than what we saw at Hockenheim. But every other fight on track has pretty much broken off at this stage. Ludacris, Prius, and Rambo are all close enough that if Ludacris makes a mistake, Prius can start making moves on him. And Rambo's in an interesting position because Rambo is still trying to do the same strategy that Mead is trying. But Rambo has been slower and he's farther back in the field. So there is a high likelihood that Rambo could end up giving up positions to Indoctro and maybe NFL Racer in the closing 2-3 laps of this race, depending on what his tires look like. It looks like every position has pretty much solidified at this stage of the event. This would be the best Chevy result all season long by Ludicrous Speed, with a 4th. It would not match Shredder's best result, and Shredder has been the man that Ludicrous has been fighting most of the season for what is currently 4th in points, could potentially be 3rd in points coming out of today's race. The big thing, though, is that Ludicrous on track to a 4th place finish, while Shredder is going to be struggling to be any better than 9th. That could really close the gap between the two of them in these last few races. Ludacris is going to get around the outside here of SDR Dremora and should be able to dispose of that other Chevy without too much issue. Prius caught Dremora at a horrible time. That's really going to hurt him, but Prius seems to be faster than Ludacris here in this final stage of the race. I wonder if Ludacris may have gone ahead and elected to put medium tires on after bringing up his softs so fast in that middle stint. He may have been forced to go to a medium stint here today. Gap between 1st and 2nd has opened up to about 10 seconds. The gap between 2nd and 3rd is hanging out around 5 seconds, so Mead is losing ground to 3rd at the moment. I don't think it's happening at a rate fast enough to enable Little Caesar to catch Mead. Again, everyone in the top 5 is going to be dealing with some significant tire fall off in the closing laps of this race. And speaking of tire fall off, Rambo is going to be the most interesting one to watch. He's at 37.5% tire wear on that left rear. We still have 7 laps left to go. If his fall off is anything like what we saw him have in that first tire stint, Rambo could end up being as far back as 8th or 9th. I don't think it will be 9th, but he could be as far back as 8th. I could see that happening without too much issue. Fight for 9th. PM221 and SRD Shredder. PM has it, Shredder wants it. Both these drivers are trying to recover from an accident as they stabilize their races. PM was running upper midfield before his accident, but Shredder was as high as 2nd in the opening stages of this race, but could not keep the tires under him. And then in the 2nd stint that he was running, he had his own incident which completely totaled the rear end of the car. He brought it down in the pit lane, repaired it, but these two are way off strategy. I'm a little interested to see if either of them are actually going to have a fight between each other. Shredder pitted a little later than PM, So Shredder should have a tire advantage over PM at the end of this race, but the Acura has been potentially the most OP car outside the Lexus, as evidenced by Valkyrie, now known as Tonic, having won 5 races early on in the season with that thing. 5 of the first 6 races, including the first 4. Tonic actually said that he thought he might be able to show up for today's event, but that has not come to pass. So another interesting thing that will come of all this is that Little Caesar is actually going to jump Tonic in the points with this 3rd place position that he's just about guaranteed to get here. And then in the same vein, NFL Racer is at he's got a possibility at running down and overtaking Tonic by the end of this season as well. Gap between 2nd and 3rd has now slipped to about 4 seconds. So Mead is still hemorrhaging time. But the gap from 2nd to 4th is still over 30 seconds. So I think even if Mead has a tremendous tire drop-off like he did before, he's still guaranteed 3rd. Mead just needs to make sure he doesn't have an accident that damages the car. If that happens, that would be ideal for Ludacris to try and get by him and seal his first podium since 2022. Prius has seemed to have fallen off of Ludacris speed now as we are coming down to these final laps of this event. Oh, PM dropped tires in the dirt. That's going to slow him down and give Shredder a great run on him coming into the kink. You don't want to be side by side through here, but Shredder's going to have a big toe off of the Acura. Is this the move for 9th? PM has it. Shredder looking to the outside. Now falls back in line. Is he going to dive, lunge into braking? No, he will give PM a bit of a touch in the rear, but they'll stay nose to tail out of Canada corner. And holds 9th still. Shredder wants it. Now Shredder looks to the inside. There'll be a drag race up the hill. The Mercedes seems to be just overall significantly faster in a straight line. Shredder's got his nose ahead, got about half the car ahead. Who's going to have the entire car ahead by the time they get to the braking zone? Does PM lunge into turn 1? No, he will not. But he will try and cross over on corner exit. Shredder was a little wide, but not enough to give PM a good look to the inside. There'll still be nose to tail as they come onto the back straightaway. PM's got a toe. He's got a big run on Shredder here. Down the hill. Andrew making another stop, so Andrew is going to go a lap down here. PM can't do anything to Shredder, though. It seems like Shredder has just overall got a better car, and his tires are about 2 laps fresher right now. So unless Shredder makes a big mistake, I think this fight is pretty much settled. But one fight that's not settled, 2nd and 3rd, are incredibly close to each other here in these closing laps, and the tires are only going to get worse for both of them. PTG Little Caesar is at the 40% tire marker right now, while AMS Mead, he is at the 46% tire marker. Now I anticipate that we're going to see it switch very shortly here, where Caesar will end up with worse tires than Mead. But Little Caesar has caught Mead in these final laps, and Mead was incredibly struggling very bad on his tires in the first stint. I think it might happen again here. If Little Caesar wants to get by Mead, ideally he needs to get behind Mead and put a lot of pressure on this Lexus sooner rather than later. The gap is less than 2 seconds for the last 2 spots on the podium. They're still fighting for 9th and 10th. This is wild. I didn't think that would be the case. And PM has a big run on the Mercedes. Is he going to make a move here? No, he actually ends up braking early. Probably to try and get a better exit out of turn 1, but can't do anything. Big thing is that Little Caesar has engine damage. It's not a lot, but he does have some engine damage at this stage of the event. Mead, though, no engine damage. His tires are just about to hit the 50% mark, and I think the same can be said for Little Caesar. His tires, well, honestly, Mead is a little bit more likely to hit the 50% mark this lap than Little Caesar. So Caesar still has a tire advantage, but again, Caesar in fights today has been a little sloppy. He's put out some great laps when he's running solo, but when he's with other people, he seems to be a little bit more mistake-prone, and that might be what we're seeing again now. Still, the gap is only about 2 seconds as they came across the line. Actually, probably a little closer to 1.5 seconds. Less than 1.5 seconds, actually, as I switched the ticker to intervals. So a fight for second, and a fight for 9th. Those are the two interesting battles on track right now. There's also a fight that has developed, and I've missed this, for 7th and 8th. And Doctorow has ended up ahead of NFL racers, so this would be a fight for the best Dodge result all season long. Unless these two have a big accident that lets Shredder get by, this would, like I said, this would be the best Dodge finish all season long. So Dodges and Chevys really seem to have an uptick in performance today. Meanwhile, the fight for the final 2 steps on the podium. The victory is all but guaranteed for Jay Caesar as long as he doesn't have an accident. But Lil Caesar would love to get by Mead and make this a Allison-style 1-2 finish. Mead is struggling, but so is Lil Caesar. Caesar trying to make it work on the outside. There's no room out there, though, but Mead sliding wide. Both drivers dealing with some significant tire fall off right now. This is the best run they've had. When they hit the line, it will be 3 laps to go for them. Jay Caesar is 17 seconds almost up the road. Lil Caesar giving Mead a big push down the straight. Can he make a move, and can he make it stick? Boy, Mead really pinching Lil Caesar there. Lil Caesar's going to give up. He'll go to the outside. Mead inside. I think this will be better for Mead, though, than Caesar. Oh, but Mead misses the apex, and now Caesar is by. Mead trying to out-drag him up to the Corvette bridge, but I think Caesar may have it. Mead gets to Caesar's inside. They're both sideways out of turn 6. Through 7. NFL Racers just made another stop. So that pretty much sells that fight that he had for 7th. They'll also move Shredder up to 8th and PM up to 9th. So Doctorow is now going to be 7th to the end of this race. It looks like NFL, I don't know if he had an accident. It didn't look like he had an accident. I think he may have just mistimed his fuel and tires. But for 2nd, Little Caesar has cleared Mead. And with just about 2.5 laps left, Little Caesar is trying to do the Bobby and Donnie Allison shenanigans and bring home a 1-2 finish for father and son. honestly, I think really it's only the 1988 Daytona 500, and then there's about 3 other finishes where Lee Petty beat Richard Petty early in NASCAR's history. That I can think of in top-tier motorsports, where you have a father-son finishing 1-2. Brothers doing it is honestly pretty common, especially in Formula One when you consider Michael and Ralph Schumacher. But, yeah, I think we could be looking at a father-son 1-2 here, which would be an incredible rarity, as Meade has completely lost touch at this stage of the event. Other thing to watch, though, Rambo, his tires are falling off. We are in the last 2 laps of this race. Rambo trying to just drag these tires to a respectable finish here. He's only about, well, he is 15 seconds ahead of Indoctro, so as long as Rambo doesn't have an instant, I think 6 is what he's going to get. And then Ludicrous speed. It's not going to be a podium, unless Meade has a big accident. It's not going to be a podium, but Ludicrous would be on for his best finish this season. And with Shredder in 8th right now, would let him massively close the gap between himself and Shredder, as the two are basically rivals for what is 3rd. Well, I think is going to be 3rd in points coming out of this race. Meade has completely lost the plot, it seems. He may have gone a little bit too aggressive on his fuel numbers as well. He seems to be slow, very slow, and I wonder if he's burned up too much fuel and now is just trying to pace himself so he knows he can make it to the end on gas. It would be hilarious if he couldn't. It would be sad, but it would be hilarious. Trying to see, is he trying to save fuel? Yeah, he is clutch riding all around the track. He does not think he's gonna make it on gas right now. He's got 22 seconds over Ludicrous speed, but he's got worn tires and might not be able to make it on fuel. Significant drama here, and that's not the only drama. Someone has had an accident. Is that Andrew? Yes! The Aston Martin of Andrew has had an accident. The car is completely destroyed. And Dremora is still a lap and a half behind, so I think Andrew is still good to finish where he's on track for. But Meade, the gap between himself and Ludacris is now down to 20 seconds. Is Ludacris making it on fuel also? Oh yeah, Ludacris has fuel, there's no question about that. Meade has completely lost touch with the cars ahead, but right now he's just trying to clutch this thing home for a 3rd place finish. Oh, those numbers are really not looking good for Meade at all, though. And if Meade runs out of fuel, that could really upend the title fight. But one thing that isn't going to get upended, Jay Caesar has taken 11 races this season, but he finally has gotten a pole position. He's led the majority of the laps today, and finally, the BMW driver of PTT Jay Caesar is going to come up the hill, under the bridge, and will come across the start-finish line for his first victory in the IESC GT3 Series. And coming home and second behind him for a rarity in motor racing is going to be his son, PTT Little Caesar, coming back from over a month of being away. He's going to come home second and make it a father-son 1-2 finish here at Road America. And now the focus is on 3rd position as Meade comes out of the final corner. He's got 4%, 3.3% left in the tank, 0.2, 0.1. The momentum should carry him across the line. It was really close, but Meade will pull a 3rd position from the jaws of victory and slightly lose ground in the title fight. 4th place is going to go to Ludicrous Speed with the best Chevrolet result this entire season. And Prius Killer is coming up with speed and will be right behind Ludacris to take home a top 5 finish. And at the end, AMS Rambo is able to preserve on his tires and will bring his machine home to a 6th place finish here. As we see him cross the... Oh! And he's had an accident! He'll still make it, but wow, that was weird. And Shredder will come up the hill now, and he'll take home 7th place, just ahead of AMS Indoctro. And 9th will be PM221, 10th will be NFL Racer. All right, trying real quickly to get our top 5 finishers into the party here. Let me double check the stream and make sure the stream will actually include audio. Yeah, it should include party audio. Okay, coming to the party now is some of our top finishers here. I want to go ahead and start. I want to see if they can hear me first. PTG J Caesar, can you hear me? All right, just waiting just a bit because it seems like he may be in a bit of a holding pattern right now. All right, I guess we'll come back to that shortly then. Yeah, it seems like he may be having some sort of issues. We apologize for that. PTG J Caesar, can you hear me? All right, J Caesar, go ahead, include your audio. It's taken 11 races, but finally, you put the BMW at the top step of the podium for your first win in the IESC GT3 series. And on top of that, you and your son make it a very rare motorsport 1-2 father-son finish. What do you have to say about your performance out there?
I am elated. That is my first victory in a series event in... I can't even remember how many years, actually. But, yeah, I'm really happy with that result. Absolutely. Commiserations to Mead. He's carrying an injury, so he was a little bit off his game today, but absolute kudos for him for turning up and still giving it a good go.
Well, this will let you close down the points gap a bit between yourself and Mead, with, I believe, 3 races left in the season. You did say a lot of times you were really looking forward to Road America, and it came true. So, with the last 3 races left in the season, do you think you can pull off another win and make this a real true title fight to the season finale?
I'd like to say yes, optimistically, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Of course, I'm taking advantage of competition not being here and other competition not being able to perform at their very best. So I have taken advantage of that fact. Watkins could be a good race. The car should be good, quite well around there as well. We'll just have to wait and see and just try and bring the title fight to the top.
All right, and now one more thing, and Lil Caesar, go ahead and include your audio. 1-2 father-son finish. I cannot express how rare that is in the history of racing. Just in general, it's rare for multiple members of the family to get into racing and both of them perform well together. You know, the only handful of times I can think of 1-2 father-son finishes are Mario Andretti and Michael Andretti, Bobby Allison and Davey Allison, and Lee Petty and Richard Petty. I can't think of anything else. And granted, it's virtual, it's not real, but you guys, in a sense, add your name to that very, very limited list. What do you guys have to say about that historical performance?
I mean, I feel just lucky to even be on the podium, let alone top 5. I think it was about mid-afternoon it was announced that the Ginettas weren't happening, so I've come in on about an hour and a half's practice and got P2. So, and to make it a 1-2 just makes it even better. And to make it the race back, and I'm just over the moon.
All right, well, 1-2 still here goes. I am incredibly shocked. Also, Will Caesar, you had a heck of a fight there with me in that final stint. What do you have to say about that? Because I won't lie, that was some of the best fighting we've seen the two of you put up all season long.
Yeah, that was very fun. I mean, I would think I was gaining about a second a lap, so I was just hammering it in, trying to just push as much as I could to catch up. And Mead was having to manage fuel for like the last 10 or so laps, I think. So that just helped, and him being on the hards and I'm being on fresher softs just really helped to close the gap. So, but yeah, some good fun battling there.
All right, it was great to have you back, even if it was just one race. It's great to have you back. You also should be able to overtake Valkyrie in the points as well with this result, so good job there as well.
Thank you.
All right, now I want to go ahead and talk with our third place finisher, AMS Mead. Mead, go ahead, include your audio. Second week in a row, you snatched the third place from the jaws of victory. Not a great performance. It seemed like the tires weren't working. It seemed like the fuel numbers went bad. It seemed like you just weren't competitive in traffic. What went wrong today?
The car didn't suit it too well. I mean, it did and it didn't. It was varied from practice to the race to where the grip was. Some reason it just didn't. It wasn't consistent at all, especially on the curbs. Obviously, I was doing a medium strat, whereas everyone else was on the softs, and I didn't put enough fuel in that last stint as well. So I was fuel saving for most of it, not just the last 10, probably all of it. And then obviously the injury is definitely took me out the running of being very quick, because it is absolutely throbbing right now.
Well, you will have a week until the next event in the season, but do you think you can still wrap up the championship before the season finale? You did still pull out a podium, even with bad tires, bad fuel, and an injury.
I'm not thinking I'm gonna get it. To be fair, it's a case of just turn up if I can and see how it goes. I'm just banking points now. I'm not racing for wins. I'll try, but I'm not racing for them now. I'm just banking points. So it's just a case of see how it goes.
All right, well, still not a great result, but you're still the points leader. You still have a decent amount of points over the rest of the field. With 3 races left, we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you at Watkins Glen next week. All right, and now I want to go ahead and talk with our 4th place finisher, Ludicrous Speed. Ludicrous, go ahead, include your audio. 4th place finish, by far the best result of a Chevy all season long, and you seemed really, really competitive for most of the day. What do you have to say about the performance out there?
It was, the car started off rough. It's a heavy car, so, maneuverability is not the greatest when you're in a pack. I was getting 2x2 with people. It's kind of hard to get this thing around, but as the track warmed up, as the sun came up, this thing really started to wake up. Decided to make a strategy adjustment. I've been running a medium soft all season. Did some work this week. Turned out the thing could run a medium softs, so I went for it. And once I got on that first set of tires, the thing ran like a SR70 route running Foxbat. So this thing really got itself together here towards the end of the race. Really happy with the 4th, finished ahead of 2 guys I'm really close in the points with that I really needed to finish ahead of. But, like the Kansas City Chiefs, how I like to make it close for no reason, I decided to go off on the final corner of the final lap and finish only 2 seconds ahead when it could have been 7 of 5th place. But I'm really happy. I'm hoping this is the start of a hot run right at the end of the season when I really need it.
All right, well, another good thing, obviously, Watkins Glen is a track that performs and handles very similar to Road America. Be interested to see. To be fair, you weren't the only one who really had a significant uptick. It seemed like all the American manufactured cars really started performing all of a sudden today. The Dodges were fighting in positions way higher than they normally did all day today as well. So really interesting to see you bring home a 4th. I would talk to our 5th place finisher, Prius Kilo, but couldn't get anything from that. So unless anyone else has anything they want to say, we'll probably wrap up our broadcast here.
There was a lot of trading tonight. And the only paint Lockheed Martin had available to sponsor this Corvette was radar-absorbing black. So if you would like to donate the small sum of $100,000, you too can save a Corvette like mine.
Ha. All right, yeah, we'll keep that in mind. Sure, I'm sure the government will donate $100,000 in my stead through taxes. But anyways,
They stopped answering my calls.
But anyways, that will wrap up our IESC GT3 race here at Road America. Next week, we'll be underway at Watkins Glen for what I believe is the third to last race of the season. Things are heating up. There is looking like a potentially 3- or 4-way fight for third in championship points, and a fight now may be in play for the championship in actuality. So until next time, I've been your host, InsaneLeader13. Thank you very much for joining us. Tomorrow, we will be covering P1R's Bathurst 2-hour event, so stay tuned for that. Till then, farewell and goodbye.